Hey guys, Adele here, and it is not Tuesday. In fact, by the time you watch this, it's probably gonna be pretty late on Wednesday. I'm really sorry about the super late video this week, but it's kind of been a crazy week and it's not over. But I really wanted to talk to you guys about non-binary medical transitioning because at some point I would really like to medically transition. In fact, I'd like to transition as soon as possible, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon for three main reasons. My insurance is shitty, I don't have any money, and the biggest one of all, I'm actually pretty scared to talk to doctors about this. Even transition specialists, I'm nervous about talking to. I have no idea how accepting those people would be of a non-binary identity. I know that they exist and they're out there, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna get lucky and find someone. I think that this really highlights some of the issues in non-binary medical transitioning. I feel like there's a lack of doctors for this kind of thing. There's a lack of specialists. And there's also a lack of understanding of what a non-binary medical transition might look like. The people that I do know of that are non-binary and have gone through a medical transition generally just do a binary transition. And they identify as non-binary, which is totally fine and that's totally cool. That doesn't invalidate their identity as being non-binary in any way, but it's not what I want to do, and it's not what I think maybe a lot of non-binary people would want to do. So yeah, it's really frustrating to not know what the options are, to not know which doctors are going to take you seriously. With my social anxiety and depression, being rejected from being treated would be very devastating, and I don't know how quickly I could recover from that. I'd like to point out that this is a uniquely American perspective. I have no idea what other countries are like. I have no idea what their medical systems are like. I actually am sadly uneducated in what sort of trans rights things are going on in other countries. I'm sure if you are from another country, you could find out, but I can't imagine it's that dissimilar, because even though trans identities are becoming more at the forefront of gender politics, I think a lot of people are still pretty unaware that non-binary identities exist, let alone believing that we're valid people. So getting essentially what would be medical treatment for dysphoria is going to be pretty difficult for people like us. Also, just noting, transitioning for a gender fluid person might also be kind of funny. Like, what I want to transition to isn't actually what would be ideal for me. It's not what's going to get rid of my dysphoria 100%. And that's because I would like to be able to change my body with my gender. Probably not all gender fluid people want this, but I think that a fair number of us would prefer that, and that would be super cool, and that would make me so happy, and I would always feel valid, and I would always love my body. But that's just not even close to a possibility. So yeah, it's frustrating how there's a lack of understanding for our identities, and it's frustrating that there's very few resources for those of us that want to medically transition. I might have a better idea of what to expect from doctors and what my options are if I just saw more stories about non-binary medical transitioning. And I think it definitely connects back to what we talked about last week with our insecurities on being trans, because I am terrified that the specialists I would need to talk to aren't going to consider me as trans enough and therefore not allow me to get the treatment that I want, that I need. And that's just shitty. It's a really shitty situation. And I'm sure it's not quite as bad as I'm fearing it to be. I don't live in a particularly bigoted area. There's not a whole lot of acceptance, but there's quite a bit of tolerance, so it's not a dangerous area. So I'm sure I could find someone, but it's just that fear going into it that's the biggest obstacle. Because people like us, unfortunately, have a lot to be afraid of. And that's basically it. That's what I have to say on this. It wasn't actually a lot happier than last week's video. I know I promised that maybe we'd get into something a little better, but we didn't. And I'm sorry. Being gender fluid isn't exactly an easy breezy happy time. So, yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.